of Hoyas. Hoyas generally grows under the canopies of big trees or attaches to the trees. So mostly they receive diffusive light for the entire day or somewhere 1 or 2 hours of the direct sun of a day. So keep your Hoyas in an area where they will receive bright light for the entire day or 1 or 2 hours of the mild direct sun of a day, such as the very early morning sunlight or the late afternoon sun, which is not intense, because they are quite sensitive to the intensive sunlight and they also do not like to sit in shaded place. All my Hoyas get about 2 hours of the very morning direct sun and get bright light for the entire day. And you can see all my plants are doing well. Also, their leaf colors and leaf designs are well maintained. The roots and the stems of the Hoyas are fleshy or succulent like. So they are quite sensitive to the wet condition of the soil. I mean, they do not like to sit in wet condition for a longer period because that derive root rot. But they like moist condition of the soil. So water your Hoyas when 50 to 60% total mass of the soil feels dry, or when upper 2 to 3 inches of the surface soil feels dry to touch. You need to water the plant thoroughly. Hoyas prefer very well draining potting mix. As I said before, their roots and stems are quite susceptible to the wet condition. Also, they require moisture. Now, to keep the Hoyas hydrated at the same time, not to mess with watering, we need to make sure the soil is well draining, at the same time water retentive. I have shared an ideal potting mix recipe only for Hoyas, and check that out, link in the description box, because that potting mix doing well enough for my Hoyas. Now let's talk about the humidity. Hoyas love humidity. Even they grow more if they get a sufficient amount of humidity in the air. Hoyas generally require the humidity level between 60 to 70%, and in my area our humidity level always fluctuates between 50 to 60%. So I do not need to add humidifier. But if you are belong to arid region or polar region, then obviously you need to add humidifier to keep this plant alive. It is better to fertilize any plant when it is in its growing period. Now, the growing period for Hoyas is spring and summers. So during this time of the year, they will require continuous feeding. You can use compost or liquid fertilizer or NPK, but I like to use a handful of compost with 4 to 5 granules of Osmocote, which is a slow release fertilizer, and the NPK ratio is 19-19-19. I generally fertilize my plants once in a month during their growing period, and they are doing fine. The mature Hoyas form flowers. They generally form peduncles on which the flower buds form. So when a Hoya in its flowering period, we need to add phosphorus-rich fertilizer. Generally, sap-sucking insects are quite visible in Hoyas, such as whiteflies, spider mites, mealybugs. You can use neem oil. I have a separate video on how you can use neem oil in an effective way. Link in the description box. Now let me share with you some ideas of Hoyas that are relatively easy to grow. So if you are thinking about to add some Hoyas in your collection, then you can start with these Hoyas. So that's all. All these care tips that I have shared are the things that I do to take care of my Hoyas. Most of my Hoyas are grown either from a single cutting or I have collected as a young plant, and you can see overall all the plants are doing fine. They have new growths, the leaf colors and the patterns are well maintained. If you're interested in plants and gardening, then feel free to subscribe with the bell. Also inviting you to follow me in Instagram and the Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.